Alright, well, I'm feeling a little bit more charged here. I reread the rule book. Didn't find anything that Brian hadn't pointed out already that I was doing wrong, but it gives me a better grounding on the game. I probably should never just pick up a system and just skim it, especially something this heavy, because I do forget things in between. It's been several months since I last played one. Anyway, we'll consider the White Mountain game a learning experience. It's a pity because that's one I really wanted to play. That's a battle I really wanted to do. Here's a battle I didn't know about. Wimpfen. This is... I'm not going to be able to give too good a historical background on it because I don't know much other than what I've read here. But Frederick of the Palatinates got an ally in Baden-Durlach here who has been separated from Frederick's army. Tilly's been defeated already by Frederick, and he calls for Spanish aid from Cordova. And this is not the Cordoba, the great captain. This is his great-great-great-grandson or something like that. But yeah, it's a relative. And I mean, when I saw the number, I said, whoa, I remember Cordoba being pretty good. And then when I read that, I said, yeah, I kind of remember him being earlier significantly too. Okay. But he was just, Cordoba stuck in my head as one of the great Spanish generals from Europa Universalis. Not someone I know terribly much about outside of that, but I was kind of shocked to see a 0 rating on someone with that name. All right, so we've got an interesting situation here because, first of all, this gives me another chance to try to deal with steep slopes. We'll see if I can handle it. I've got everybody that I want to in open formation, and I'm going to try to advance just in open formation. It's no worse than formation shaken. Once I get where I want to get, I can reform. I haven't put the little markers out for where everybody is. Oh, there we go. Protestant right wing is under charge. So one of the things that, well, let me hit some of the interesting things here. So there's this little wall of wagons running through here. These are called pike wagons in the game. They're basically these defensive firing platforms that you can hide behind and shoot. And I haven't set up the units behind them yet either. They provide benefits to light infantry and artillery. And there'll be a bunch of light infantry and artillery set up along there. That's at the Protestant player's discretion. And then 2 cav wings, but with some musketeers over here. This is part of the center wing here, actually, but it's got special rules to allow it to defend the town. And the town, of course, gives significant defensive bonuses, actually. A little hedgerow here to provide some additional benefit. But what happened was Baden managed to slide his cav over to the right flank and launches an early charge that was unexpected by the Catholics. And for the purposes of reflecting the chaos that caused in the ranks, not only are we going to have a charge order here, but the Catholic units over on the left flank, the cavalry there, it all starts out formation shaken. They're going to be, they're not ready for this attack at all. In addition, they're in open formation, some of them, quite a few of them, so we'll see how that all works out. But the Protestants have some problems. They have what looks like a neat defensive position, but this river line here, that's an impassable river due to flooding. There is a bridge here, which will be using standard bridge rules, which I'm going to have to look up. What else do we have? Well, again, the Catholics don't have an overall, or the Protestants don't have an overall commander. Tilly is the Catholic overall commander, but it's still a split command. The Spaniards cannot get any benefit, nor can Tilly do his little things when a Spanish activation is going, which is kind of interesting there. We're also going to have this. This is actually part of this scenario only, this Wimpfen counter. This indicates one of these wagons back here exploding. Now, at the end of a turn, if there's at least 2 Catholic heavy infantry next to the pikes trying to fight their way across that, and that's got a significant advantage. It's -2 fire combat, +2 fire combat coming out of it, and a -2 close combat going either way. So that provides a really powerful firing defense for those light infantry. Of course, the heavies can't use it, so those heavies are kind of not where you're not able to provide the kind of power that you want. They're sort of a second rank there to drive anything that pushes through the wagons out of the field. We have some units like back here. There's a formation broken unit. It drove off some cav that was trying to outflank at the bridge or something. So I've got my leader back there trying to rally that. We'll see if the commands fit that, but whatever. I mean, I'm sure I want to mainly defend here instead of advance. There's also advantages because this is a defensive terrain and this is a defensive terrain. There's special rules to say, hey, even if you're under charge orders, you don't have to follow them if you're in that perimeter. But anyway, this explosion, basically you roll a die on each turn after the Spaniards come close, or maybe while they're engaged, I'm not sure. It's not really clear about that. It says at the end of any turn, if the Catholics are there, which sounds like it should be only if they're there, but then it says continue to roll each turn until the event happens or the game ends. I'm assuming that the Spaniards have to, the Catholics have to be up against there, providing some fire into the compound to cause this to happen. And that, it doesn't make sense that they'd walk away and the fire would start as much, so I'll leave it, I'll take that interpretation because it's not really explicit either way. But if the explosion happens, you roll a die to see which one of these wagons goes. If anything's stacked on it, it's, I think, dead. But anything that's not stacked on it, well, this wound marker goes into play. And on top of that, what else do we see here? Any units, oh no, the unit stacked with it becomes morale broken, not eliminated. Any unit on either side within 3 hexes takes a formation hit and a morale check. And if it's already formation broken, I think it takes casualties instead. I'll have to look that up if it happens. If the unit fails the morale check, it routes as morale broken. And the hex in which that marker is, the explosion, the flame, all that, becomes an impassable hex for the rest of the game. The rest of the wagons don't catch fire or explode. There's no chance of that. So that's to represent one particular thing which kind of broke the battle open for the Catholics. Because this does look like a powerful defensive position for the Protestants, with the exception that they're backed against a river, and you know, there's some open terrain that they have to deal with, but for the most part, the assault's going to have to go up against those pike wagons. There's going to be that initial hit from the cav. It's a nice long game, so it'll give me some time to develop. I can take some time to move up. I don't feel like I'm terribly pressured, but I do have to learn how to handle terrain and how to make an assault that sticks in kind of rough terrain. Alright, well, I'll finish setting up and then take a break and we'll come back to it. Well, things are feeling more like I remember this system playing. The terrain's a little less grumpy, and I'm a little less grumpy. But yeah, the terrain's a little less constricted here. There is still the steep slopes, and I'm still advancing in open order, but it's not as good a defensive position until we hit the pike wall. So what happened was the cav charged up this hill in open order against the skirmishers that were positioned up here. And you notice I got the skirmishers along the pike line. The Protestant cav did not succeed in intercepting. They were both marked with interception duns. Those disappear at the end of that activation, something I sometimes forget to do and leave for the entire turn. And the drive against the 2 units, one of them was completely successful, and it was broken off the board. The other one was flung back by the skirmishers. Then in the second activation, trying to bring Cav up to hit this, got intercepted and chased down by a Protestant Cav, which is now in trouble because it's near some infantry that turned around, opened fired on it, and is now marching on it. Granted, they're in open order, but the Cav is formation broken and is pretty much toast. More Cav came up to hit here. The interception failed, so that's not going to work. Another Cav came up, struck that Cav, basically just clearing away the entire Protestant left flank so that we can set up. Now, I am in kind of an annoying position here. I was thinking, wow, my heavy infantry shouldn't have even been in open order. There was enough room to slip through. But maneuver-wise, one of them kind of want it to be, and I'm going to be able to get more frontage this way. The artillery still has been silent. Of course, unlike in the last game, the artillery can choose to fire on its own turn. It hadn't had an opportunity where the grazing fire would have been really tremendous. So, you know, hitting a heavy unit is probably as good as anything. Anyway, I'll resolve these attacks. This is the first momentum, so there could be one more to follow that up. If there is, I'm going to have to drop out of charge and get out of that open order. So, well, I may have to keep charge so that I can move forward, and then next turn drop out of the charge so that I can start forming my units up for the assault on the hill. All that while, I'm going to be being shot by the artillery, presumably. It's not to say there's not a high cost, but so the Cav that struck up against the Cav up here, well, the Protestants won that fight and charged down right into these guns. Boom! This is what I love about this game. This guy, of course, was routed by the infantry, but the infantry back here, because it was an open order, is now in formation broken from being hit. And we've got a definite have to fix that flank. But that's okay. We're seeing things happen. It's not like this horrible traffic jam like I was creating over on White Mountain. Unfortunately for the Protestants, they have a no continue here. They attempted to trump one of those. I have to check to see if this charge continues. And let's see. We get a continuation. I could try to break that up. I see little reason not to. Although there's an advantage to breaking something up that's 2 rounds. I may be able to save my units if I can slow them down a little more. So let's see what we can do here. Let's try to trump that. We're doing this over at receive charge, so the chances are fairly low, but we have a leader bonus. And we fail, which gives us a no continue here. Alright, so now I want to check to see if that charge, if I can get rid of that charge, because I really don't want that. There's a bonus if more than half the wing is morale shaken, morale broken, or eliminated. Well, they're just formation broken. Okay. Oh, and that's only to rally. I want to get down to something where I can reform. It looks like receive charge is probably my best choice. That's a 0 through 2. Rally, on the other hand, rally's tougher to get out of and back into my charge. Yeah, I'm gonna go for a receive charge because I've still got to move this guy off of there to rally him, and if I get charge, I can do that still. So we'll do that. All right, we get a good enough value that we can get down to receive charge, and then I've got some problems because like this guy's out of command, and I've got to figure out some way of coping with that. It's going to be a tough move. I was probably a little silly trying to rally the unit that was here. It ran away. But the firepower from this guy, even though he got hit by the artillery to break up as he tried to get out of open order, put him into, got rid of both the cavalry that was there as well as the leader. The leader may, of course, come back if he gets lucky. But he's only got one unit under his command still, who's routing, trying to find a way away. He's going to have to try to find his way across that bridge, I guess. Nice quick opening for this one. The Catholic right flank cav was punched, at least the front row of it, but it took both rows of the Protestant cav to kind of do it completely. No one left the map on a pursuit, but yeah, we've only had one action, no possible momentums. So now things are kind of exposed here, and it looks like the Catholic cav is going to be able to come back and do some damage coming back. But first we got the center to take care of. And we're pretty much done with the first turn. This was kind of tricky. I started stacked with him. I rallied him, ran up to here. He could do that kind of action. The guns all can fire without being in command. The rest of the units actually had no restrictions. So to tell you the truth, I didn't do that. I forgot I can stay within here without restriction. I think I actually could have rallied his formation without the commander being there as well. But he's kind of further from the outpost, so it seemed reasonable to do. Anyway, we're at the end of this first turn. We make a quick check on the leader replacement table. And we're going to get a replacement for him. We'll put him over in the dead box. And what is he? He is the left wing. Got lots of leaders here. Right wing. There's a left wing one. Got lots of guys for the right wing. One of them is accounted for, and I think here too, one of the two right wing leaders there. Well, one of them is just a colonel, right? No, doesn't look like it. But they're all equivalent value. No real importance. And we'll put him over on this routing unit. Remind us to fix that. Load this one up, and we'll go into less detail, but I'm having fun with this in a way that I hadn't been with the other ones. I was feeling pretty damn bad about having played that so poorly. Alright, well, let's see.